Good Wednesday morning to you. It's July 22nd, 2020. I'm Guy McPherson from GuyMcPherson.com, also known as Nature Bats Last. Gonna talk about a couple of headlines this morning as the stock markets open in the United States. First headline comes from CNBC. Apple says it will be carbon neutral by 2030. Yes, it will. Every corporation will be carbon neutral by 2030. Every person will be carbon neutral by 2030 because there won't be any people to be carbon neutral by 2030 and there won't be any corporations by 2030. So I wouldn't bet against Apple saying it's going to be carbon neutral by 2030. In fact, I'd bet quite a lot on that very thing. Next headline is from Business Insider. Jeff Bezos is personally worth more than Nike, McDonald's, Costco. Not combined, mind you. After all, Bezos' net worth is only $186 billion. And in comparison, Nike is worth $122 billion and McDonald's is worth $143 billion. So Bezos doesn't even come close to the combined net worth of Nike, McDonald's, and Costco. And on the Main Street versus Wall Street version of the story, from Quartz, the share of Americans in their 20s moving home is skyrocketing. The number and proportion of individuals in their 20s moving into their parents' home or into their grandparents' home is skyrocketing because they don't have any money. They have to split the bills with other people. They're choosing to do so with family members. From the Los Angeles Times, with GOP now on board, another coronavirus stimulus check is likely. But for how much? I can only promise one thing. Won't be enough to pay your bills. From LinkedIn, pandemic takes a toll on United. And this is a headline I've been seeing many places over the course of the last few days. And it's not just United, it's all the major carriers in the United States. They're just being hammered because people are not flying anymore. I mentioned this in yesterday's video as well. Far fewer people flying than there used to be. Corporate flying to make a buck by flying across the country both ways in a day or two. That version is on its way out, as I mentioned yesterday. From Barron's, global stocks fall as Trump's pandemic warning punctures optimism. Well, what do you know? When even President Trump, who first called the coronavirus a hoax, and specifically in classic racist fashion, a Chinese hoax, when he now says, quote, it's going to get worse before it gets better, end quote, yeah, I think that might be a sign that things have fallen apart and that global stocks might, in fact, be responding. Finally, from CNBC, 6 tech stocks now make up half the value of the NASDAQ 100. So of those 100 stocks, 6 make up the half of the value. And that's not at all surprising. This is consistent with the story about Bezos and his net worth being more than those 3 large companies. And the list goes on. The disparity in wealth between the so-called 1% and the rest of us is enormous. After all, consider something Mark Twain said more than 100 years ago. When the rich rob the poor, it is called business. When the poor fight back, it is called violence. That's where we are. The rich stealing from the poor, and it's just business as usual. If you want to do something about it, it's called violence in response. So here we are, 9:32 Eastern time, when the stock market's open, plus the half-hour lag for those of us who don't pay to find out what's going on in the stock market. The Dow Jones is down 40, the NASDAQ is up 11, the S&P 500 is down marginally. So there you go, the idiotic, essentially non-response to the most amazing bad and for the 1% good news that you could possibly find.